Okay, great. So, very good morning, everybody, and special warm welcome to the panelists today. Uh, Today, we have gathered here for a webinar on a topic of changing landscape of B2B selling in the VUCA world. And I'll be your host today. My name is Dr. Amit Parinja. I work as principal consultant with InspireOne. And, with my own background of sales, for almost a couple of decades, I just find this topic very thrilling because what I feel is that it's time that post-pandemic and in the kind of VUCA world that we are in, we must be talking about the changes and the dynamics in the market. Because one thing is very clear, everybody who's on the call, and people in the organizations across from the leadership perspective are looking at the growth factor. And for growth of any organization, it's important that your product, your services is selling. And for those reasons, it becomes even more important to understand and analyze what are some of those selling skills, or what are some of those challenges that are there in today's world that we as leaders, we as sales leaders, we need to work upon, and we as sales professionals need to look upon, so that we can really enhance our skill sets and meet the demands of the today's world. So basically, with that challenge in mind, we thought of inviting two very senior leaders from the industry. And with me today, I have Mr. Sanjay Narula. So Sanjay, of course, heads the B2B sales for Titan, and he's been in the industry again with loads and loads of experience. He's been into sales with Titan for almost more than 8 years, and before that as well, with Metro Cash and Carry. So he carries a lot of experience with him, and with that, he spent almost his life into various phases of sales. So I'm sure with that loads of experience and seeing the sales world both pre and post pandemic, it will be very nice to hear from him some of the challenges and experiences that he has faced, and what are his recommendations to the people across the industry who are also facing similar kind of challenges and want to grow their organization by incremental sales. So thanks a lot, Sanjay, for joining us today. I'm extremely thankful and delighted to have you here as a panelist.
Thanks,
we
Amit.
also
Thanks
have
for having me.
My pleasure. We also have Prasanta Nair. So Prasanta has been again one of the icons in the industry from sales perspective. Prasanta works with V, which is Vodafone Idea, and Prasanta again comes up with a couple of decades of experience into sales. I have had the privilege to work with Prasanta in the past, so I know what passion she drives the sales with. And Prasanta again comes up with a telco background. She's worked with Aircel. She's worked with the erstwhile Vodafone as well. And Prasanta again has worked across the bandwagon. She's been into BD roles. She's looked at the B2B side of the sales. And of course, she's now heading the government business for a long time for V. So I thought this would be a great experience and a blend of, experiences shared by both the panelists here, because Prasanta has seen more from a PSU government as well as B2B side of it, and of course Sanjay has also seen a lot of stuff from a B2B and channel side of it. So it will be a perfect blend of knowledge and experience sharing from both of them, so that we can really dwell upon the topic and look at things in a more detailed manner. With that, before I actually go on with the questions to the panelists and of course take their views, once again I would like to welcome all the participants who have joined, and I'm really thankful for you to be here, and I'm sure this webinar is going to give you a lot of knowledge and experience that you were looking for. And we are also recording this webinar, and this will be available for people to gain more knowledge in the coming times. So therefore, we just to introduce you a little bit on InspireOne, InspireOne Consultants has been in the industry for almost 24 years now. We've been one of the known brands in the market for leadership, sales, and organizational development. We have worked with few of the largest brands in the world, helping them develop their sales strategies, creating the go-to markets, route to markets. And in fact, worked in deeper details in not only giving the capability development and skill set to the people in the sales fraternity who are the individual contributors or the frontline sales people, but also people in the medium leadership level, as well as people who are into core key account management, global account management, national account management kind of roles, across the B2B, PSUs, government, and all kinds of, and even channels. We have a wide range of skill expertise, and we support a complete continuous learning pattern to all our clients, with the support of a lot of assessments which have been tailored for the needs of people, with the help of a lot of coaches that we have who carry a lot of experience with them and support people on ground from a domain expertise perspective. So therefore, as a blend of coaching, consulting, and training organization, we really look forward to keep serving the corporate world with our offerings on the leadership, sales, and organizational development programs. And we keep doing such webinars on all the three topics quite regularly, and bring dignitaries from the industry who can come and share their experiences with us. And of course, by that logic, make all our listeners and audience benefit from their experiences. So with that, thank you very much. And this is time now that we start. So I'll come back to you, Sanjay and Prasanta now. And, let's start with a very basic question. So you understand that, we are in a VUCA world today, and VUCA is all about, things which are volatile, uncertain, a lot of ambiguity. And, so in today's complexity, what kind of challenges do you see, typically in the enterprise or in the PSU and government sector, which would, throw up a thought in your mind that maybe, it's not the same as it was in the past. And now we need to do something different, to handle what the market demands today. So maybe I'll start with you, Sanjay, first, and we'll take some of your inputs on what do you think are some of those top challenges in your industry specifically that you feel today the B2B sales team needs to really fight with.
Thanks, Dr. Amit. Thanks for having me. The world today is much more informed and much more global than the world which was just even 4 years. So, in 2020 or 2019, the world has changed drastically in terms of information, in terms of knowledge. So that's one. I somehow have a different view on this VUCA. When people say it's volatile, uncertain and all, I say it's not. What is certain in today's world, especially in India, is growth. So that is a certainty. Now, how you achieve that growth and how do you do is totally up to the organization and the products or the services the organization offer. Finally, it's about either a product or a service. The challenge today is, when you look at the set of salespeople today, both the young ones and the people who are experienced and all, in fact, the younger ones are more adaptable. The people who are older ones, they lean on their past experience, and when they hit a roadblock, they say, no, this is not working out. It's not that what it was earlier. But the younger ones are more adaptable. So you look at from a point of view, is the challenge today is, in a B2B business, the whole business is about the leads, what you get, converting the leads into business. And today, like you get leads which are B2C leads, which people want the B2B kind of a discount or B2B kind of a thing, but the quantity is not B2B. So how to channelize that? You have to address that need, but how to channel it to the right B2C sales team, that becomes one of the challenges. And with the inflow of information from different. You get physical leads, you get online leads, you get website leads, you get reference lead, you get leads to your email, you get leads to contacts. Again, that you need to channelize and build that channel which gets you more qualified and more valid lead. So that ability to build that channel and spend energy and money behind the channel, that's a challenge today, which was not there a few years back, because there were not so many multi-channels a few years back. So that becomes one of the challenge. The other challenge, if you ask me, is when you're offering a solution or when you're offering a product or a service, earlier you used to compete with competition within the same category. So if you're selling, let's say we were selling gold coins, we will sell, we'll have competition from people who are selling gold coins. But that's not the stage, because the customer is more informed. The needs of the customer is evolving and sometimes changing depending on who's taking a decision. So you might be competing a gold coin with a foreign trip. You might be competing a gold coin with a refrigerator. You might be competing a gold coin with a motorcycle. So that you have to keep in mind. And that's the other challenge, which is today, which the salesperson is, he gets an inquiry, he responds to the inquiry, gives a quotation, but that's not it is. He needs to understand the customer need. What is the customer wanting the product for? What is the need? What is the occasion? Who's the receiver of that product? Who will be using the product? And what is the budget they have in mind? Do they have a timeline in mind? Are they celebrating the event? And once you get all of that, then you will come to know who you're competing with. And also you can offer a tailorized product to the customer instead of just giving a product and a price. So that's the challenge today.
Great. I think this is really golden words, and of course that comes from the loads of experience that you carry. So I'm sure this is helpful. So what I see here is that there's something that you have given on a very positive note, that in today's sales world, you have people who are very adaptable, and therefore the challenge is not that big, because we are in a situation where we love to adapt and embrace changes. But on the other hand, we need to understand what type of customers are we dealing with, and what's exactly they're looking at, so that we can tailor to their needs. Very well said. Coming to you, Prasanta. So, I mean, what are your thoughts? Because you have seen more from B2B to even PSU and government side of it. What has been some of the top changes and challenges that you are seeing, and which are portraying a kind of thought in your mind that, yes, we need to change a bit?
So, firstly, thank you, Dr. Amit Parinja and the InspireOne team for having us in today and discussing something which is very critical and very important, and I would say very close to my heart, because last 20 years, I have been in sales. My journey, my career life has been in sales throughout. So, this topic is really very close to my heart, I would say that. And welcome all the participants. I wish you good luck for the rest of the financial year and for the coming years. Coming back on the question, Amit, that you raised, as rightly mentioned by you and by Mr. Sanjay, that the life is completely changed post pandemic. The life we had in 2018, 19, and what we are seeing right now, there's a transformation that has happened, not only within the organizations but in the external space, as well. From I've been last 1 decade I've been in government, so I can see a lot of change happening there. The kind of technology adoption and digitalization that government is going in for, and which is creating the opportunities for various organizations across the length and breadth of the country, is humongous. And I think that is where lies the growth for us, and that is where, as a sales team, we have to understand the government's mission, vision, and align ourselves with it and work towards it. So I think that's one critical area that we all need to focus on. Second, as mentioned by by Mr. Narula as well, that the customer is very informed. He's very knowledgeable. He knows much more than a sales guy, a sales representative who's sitting in front of him. So gone are those days where we can do a product selling. These are the days where we have to do a solution selling. We have to
Absolutely.
the customer, build his confidence, build trust with him, and that will happen over a period of time, definitely, but that is what the need of the hour is, that we have to do solution selling and get the confidence of the customer in. So that's very critical from in today's world. Third very important element which I believe is that earlier, generally when I was in sales, and when I was an account manager or a BD, we used to interact more with the IT team, in an organization. But now the world has changed. Every
Yeah.
vertical within an organization wants to go in for digitalization, wants to bring
Yes.
automation in their processes. And for a salesperson, mapping these multiple stakeholders within an organization becomes really very critical and important in today's world. So I think that is one area that we will have to bring a lot of focus in. And
Of course.
last point I would believe is that, see, the opportunities are huge at this point in time, and we have limited people with us. In every organization, there's a limitation there, and definitely we have to do an optimization of resources there. And I tell my team as well, it's very important that for us to qualify our leads and opportunities when we start working on an opportunity. Because 6 months down the line or 1 year down the line, especially in B2B or in government, we see a lot of time gets invested. Gestation period is really long for a opportunity. So it's very important that we should qualify our opportunities, considering the strength as an organization that we carry, and how important that opportunity is, or we can work on it or not. So that's an important thing that we should keep in mind when we start working on an opportunity, so that we use our resources efficiently.
Very
So
true.
a couple of thoughts, Amit, that I have.
No, no, this is really wonderful. And I think you've built on what Sanjay said. Of course, the challenges are there, but, definitely the type of buyer, the persona of the buyer is changing. And therefore, mapping that buying center, who's the user, for my product. And you really brought me back to a thought, while I was looking at different TV commercials. I could see the advertisement of a nappy today, for a small kid doesn't talk about the product features of what a nappy should be having, but it talks about that this gives you a 12-hour sleep. And that's what is the need of the buyer, and the buyer in that case is the parents. And those of the people on the participant list who married and have kids would understand how important it becomes for the parents to get a nice sleep when you have a small kid at home. So definitely, yeah. So how are you projecting your product? Who are the people who are buying? Who are the people who are consuming? It becomes very important for you to really map that buying center well. Wonderful. So I think with that, we can move on to the next question. And in fact, I see some questions also coming up in the Q&A panel. So I would request all my participants to, definitely keep writing your questions in the Q&A panel. And we are going to give you a 10 to 15 minute slot in the end, while we finish the questions, and maybe some of the queries that you have posted may already get answered by the panelists while we continue to our discussions. But we definitely have a dedicated 15 minutes towards the end for the Q&A. So just reserve your questions for that, and we are going to read out your questions from the panel to the panelist, and of course answer all your questions. So with that, now I'll again go back to you, Prasanta, and then we'll come to Sanjay. Now that you know that these are some of the challenges with the sales teams, do you think, managing these sales teams from a sales manager perspective, because you both are sales leaders, and of course you will have second line, third line of managers who are dealing with the frontline salespeople. Are there any changes, any thought processes that as a sales leader, you are facing as a challenge with the newcomers and the new, people coming in and joining your teams? What are some of those sales leader based skill sets or special challenges that you may face, and which you feel is the need of the hour from a sales leader's perspective to tackle today?
Yeah, Amit, thanks for that. I think it's a very relevant and important question from a leadership perspective. I think with the changes happening in a very dynamic environment, with new technology coming in, with new innovation coming in, it becomes extremely important for us to build the capability of our sales team.
Yep.
Not only the newcomers, but the old timers that we have in the system, in the organization. See, they carry a lot of experience, which is very hard to find in these days.
Yeah.
And we have to nurture that experience by the virtue of building a capability with that team. So in my view, I think capability build up, skill set building is an extremely important thing. As a leader for my vertical, this is something that I have been stressing a lot with new products that we are launching, day in and day out. It becomes very
Hmm.
critical for our teams to understand and sit in front of the customer, do a capability presentation with them. These are things which are really very important in today's world. So it's again getting the mind share of the customer in a
Agree.
relevant way. So I think that's one of the biggest priority that we have right now. Second, as a sales leader, I believe one more challenge that we are facing right now today is high attrition. How do we connect with our teams? I think that's a big challenge that we have as sales managers. I think that a lot of responsibility lies on us in terms of recruiting, hiring, coaching, mentoring these people, building a very positive work culture, motivating the team, inspiring the team. I think that's really very important from our perspective. I think the definition of KPI has now completely changed from key performance indicator. It has now moved to, keeping people informed. So I think
Oh, yeah.
transparency is something which is really critical in today's world. People connect, I think, is very, very critical. If you have to excel in the B2B world, both internal and external, internal with your colleagues and external definitely with your customers. Relationship building is extremely critical. And I think the last point which we have is that, all of us as leaders today, we are managing very diverse teams because
Yeah.
organizations have moved into a very lean structure, and we have teams which are across the country, and they come from different culture and different backgrounds. So as leaders, it becomes very important for us that we have to understand the potential, the strength of each and every person, and leverage that strength to get optimum benefit there. So I think these are important challenges, I would say, and areas that we as leaders are working, and we'll continue to work on it.
Completely with you. Completely with you. I understand definitely. And yes, you rightly put on that sometimes recruitment, hiring, attrition, motivation, all of these become very important. And of course, skill building can be an answer to most of them. Back to you, Sanjay. So I think so what are your views? What are some of the sales leader based challenges that you may foresee in
I
your
think
business?
some most of thing I'm struggling to add to it. But
Sure.
if I were to say one of the most important thing is your sales team, everybody doesn't have the same level of knowledge and same level of understanding. And
Agreed.
if you have to communicate a message to them which everybody understands in the same manner, then
Very true.
you have to do it in a manner where I would say leveraging technology.
Hmm.
Just to give you a small example, uh, you know there are some things which people across the age use today, whether it is a child, whether it is a father, whether it is a grandfather or a grandmother, they all use a simple thing, what is called WhatsApp today. Now,
Yeah.
the mode of WhatsApp, whether it is adding people into the group or sharing videos and all, is so simple that despite people having different level of understanding, they're able to interface and use it better. Now, if you were
Yeah.
to borrow that analogy, or the other analogy which has changed in the last 4 years, is how we make payments. So scanning
Yep.
a QR code and making payment, and you don't even need somebody's account number, just using mobile number. And that again, people different sectors and people who are not so well educated to people who are educated, they're able to use it. Now, if you bring those two analogies, they are leveraging on technology which has made it simple. Now,
Agreed.
whenever you're communicating something, a sales strategy or a sales plan or a new product launch or a new service launch, and you want this to go via your sales team to your sales customers, then you need to leverage technology, make it simple for the salesperson. So even when he's struggling, he can always go back to that particular app or module or email or the FAQs, whatever it is. so that
Absolutely.
he's consistently leaning on information background to empower and knowledge himself and then communicate further. So that is, that's one way which I think of it today. The other challenge what you have, and if I look at Prasanta's what she statement is that, attrition is a problem. Now, how can you again build in system and processes so that when attrition happens, it doesn't affect the quality of product or service? A simple example is when you go to a in South, we have darshanis which serve idlis and dosas early in the morning. And you have other example for you is the McDonald's and the KFC and the Domino of the world. Now, notice that's not the same person who's serving you. That's not the same person who's making a meal. They've put the process so simple, the irrespective of the person who's serving or irrespective of the person who's delivering, it is so easy for him to, the product and service is the same quality. Now, that's how you address attrition.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
that's my view is how do you leverage technology? How do you bring in product and systems and processes so that the final customer, what he receives, there is no difference.
No, this is really, very powerful statement because, you brought two very important aspects of business, which is technology and process. So, and of course, they're complementary to each other as well. Sometimes the technology helps you to build those processes. But yeah, definitely, if your system is robust, then, irrespective of people coming and going, they become part of the bandwagon, and therefore, at least your service quality and standards don't take a hit, which is very important. But again, Prasanta also brought another point on the skill building part, and therefore, it's important that we also constantly build skills. Even in the new processes, people need to be, skilled enough to handle the process well and deliver the same on ground. On the same, a thought comes to my mind is that, so in today's world, if you were to measure some of the, selling parameters, and I'll start with you, Sanjay, again, and then we'll go to Prasanta. What are some of those success measures that you would, park your team with, other than those standard KRAs? Because for ages, people have been developing funnel and then converting the funnel into closures. There is a standard time taken to close the funnel into a deal. And of course, post the deal also, now people have been scapping around that whether this was a good deal or a bad deal, because, what's the top line, what's the bottom line? Am I really making my margins on the whole deal? So looking at all of these factors, what do you think are some of those key success measures today? In spite of the number being tickling on the clock, how do you make sure that alongside the numbers, the quality of delivery and the overall process is so robust that some of the key success measures are reflected in the working of your sales teams?
So I put it this way, right? For me, and my knowledge, whatever little knowledge I have, is number is an output.
Of course. Absolutely.
So measuring number is you're measuring output. But
very true.
I personally believe is that you measure the input and the process, and that's what you monitor. That's what you set the KPI for. See, for example, the most important thing in a B2B is the customer.
Yeah.
And when I say customer, unlike a B2C where the person who is buying, he's making a decision and maybe his wife or son or husband or father, mother is involved, but that's a decision taken by them. In a B2B, it's a different process or economics. So there is a person who is executing an order or negotiating with you, which could be a purchase guy.
Agreed. Very true.
The product or the category or the service which is decided by somebody else. And that guy could be an influencer. He might say, what is the product, what is the service I need? And he might shortlist some of the vendors, what he wants to deal with. But then there is a third person who's the decision maker or who's the guy who's having the budget with him. He's also playing a role because he's saying, what is the need, what is the occasion, why do you want to do, what is the quantity, what is the budget and all. Now, when you are dealing with, and that's what I in terms of performance matrix, what you measure is how deeply are you engaged with the customer. Do you know the customer and the typical ways, I would say KYC or Janam Patri of a customer is, do you know who's the decision maker? What is the occasion? When are they doing it? When do they want? What is the timeline? Who's the influencer? So it's like the old physics theory is, when you want to move a big rock, you need a lever and a fulcrum to leverage it on. So you need to find all that. And for me, that is one level of measurement, is how many customers you have a deep engagement with, how many customers you've got completed this KYC and Janam Patri. That's one measure. Second measure is, after you engage with the customer, how many customers are so satisfied with the product or service what you delivered that they become your promoter and they talk about the product or service you have delivered openly in the media. And when I say the social media today, the power of social media, we know that is what is the second measurement, is how many promoters you have who is it, sir, I want to refer you. Like we finished this call, I said, Amit, I want to refer you for the engagement with the company. He said, fine, no problem. I will post it in the social media. You send me what it is. That is the second level of measure for me. The third level of measure for me is customer retention. Now, I might have added 10 new customers. And if I have 100 customers, my addition is 10%. But if I've retained 30 of them, I would say that person is a much better performer, because he's retained 30% and he's added 10. So he's already covered 40% of his base.
Right.
So those are the three measures which I look at personally.
No, wonderful. I think this is really good, and I'll again come up on something very interesting that came in your discussion. But I'll go to Prasanta first. So Prasanta, what are your takes on some of those success measures?
Yeah, Amit, now it's difficult to answer because all the points have been covered by Sanjay. But
Please.
I think still I will just add to what he's mentioned. I'll just give it a government flavor, I would say.
So that makes sense.
Like he mentioned that, you need to be connected with your customer, understand him, his Janam Patri. We do a similar thing in government as well, that we create wallet share of our accounts to know what is the in and out, uh, uh, business that the department has, who's the current service provider across product lines. One of the very important component for government and tendering businesses to be there with the customer at the right time. And the right time is not when the tender gets published. The right time is when the tender is in the speccing stage, or it is at a DPR stage. So DPR is a stage which like a detailed program report that gets created in every government department, where consultants have a very important role to play. So that is a stage where the sales guy has to be present there, to create a niche, or, to get his organization, her organization qualified in that particular tender. And that's where the quality makes more importance as compared to just pricing good commercial. I think that is one of the questions also that has been raised by one of the participants. That ultimate decision is pricing. Definitely, I agree there. But if you are bringing value on the table and you are trying to create a bid which brings the technical advantages to the customers, I'm sure we can overlook the pricing, challenge as well. But I 90% we will still to continue face it, but there are ways and means to manage it. But I think being with the customer at the right time is a biggest strategy a sales guy has to follow. That is one. Second, like Sanjay also said, that is the customer ready to promote us, and for me, I would say, is the customer ready to give repeat business to us? If a customer is ready to give repeat business to us, we've done our job pretty well, and we are there. So I think that's very critical. And third thing, from a sales effectiveness perspective or a individual perspective, when we look internally in an organization, is that, is the salesperson willing to take challenges? Is he ready to go beyond his KPI and pick up new projects, which value adds to the department or the organization? I think these are important areas which need focus and drive, and a lot of responsibility lies with sales leaders as well, to give an opportunity to our sales teams at the right time, and encourage them. I think that is something which is very important for us. And so I think these are the thoughts that I have, Amit, on this one.
Oh, I think this is perfect, and what this gets me to, from the word Janam Patri and all, is that we've been talking about making account development plans, and I would put that as a synonym to the Janam Patri of an account, because that's where you do the right kind of a customer discovery, and then understand what's your customer doing. Also maybe understand who's the competition, what are other people doing in that account, what is the wallet share, as you said. So because B2B is not about selling once to a customer, it is about going to the same customer again and again. So therefore, some of the things that again come very valid is, what's the total wallet share and where are we? Are we going more deeper with number of products of our organization, which is also called product penetration ratio in today's scenario? So I think those are some of the things that we definitely are looking at. And most of our clients also come back to us saying, what are some of those tools and techniques, and am I building the robust funnel? Is my funnel good enough to even address, because I may be engaged in a few accounts which are not going to give me business. So am I able to choose my customers well? Am I able to pick up the best opportunities well? Am I able to get the results in time? And of course, you brought in a very beautiful point, which is also one of the questions that I see on the panel, is related to how important is price. Price is definitely important, but of course, it's today's world. What's more important is value. If you give the value to the customer, sometimes the discussions of the price will take a backseat. But of course, we will take this question in more depth in the time now. But before we go there, I'll quickly ask another question to you, Prasanta, and then we'll go to Sanjay there, which is that now that you pointed down to almost a complete sales cycle, which starts with customer discovery, and then getting into understanding and building the account, and then finally converting the lead into sales, delivering the right kind of value proposition to the customer, and finally getting into the closure cycle along with the customer. What are some of those skill gaps that you see in today's scenario which come on the way, or possibly not even gaps? What are some of those skills that need sharpening from a sales guy's perspective? Typically, in this entire cycle of sales, from quote to cash, what do you think some of the things that people need to brush up, and maybe use some good tools and techniques to meet the demand and get into a win-win situation with the customer?
So, Amit, this is a very important question, and if I answer this question, I will go back to the basics of sales, which is meeting your customers. I think
Right.
as a salesperson, the biggest strength that we carry is that we should have the passion to meet our customers. And if somebody has that passion, and exhibits that kind of energy, uh, I don't think so there is any way that anybody can stop you from building pipeline or having conversions there. So I think that's the first and foremost thing which I feel after pandemic, somewhere we've lost it. We are trying to bring it back to some extent. We are already in, but I guess that is something which is a very important priority. Meeting customers, more and more customers, is what the ultimate, principle is of sales. Second,
Absolutely.
in the same, I think building relationship with your customers in the B2B world is extremely important, because it's not like a one-time sale. You sell and you're out of it. You have to manage the complete life cycle, though you will have support roles to be there, but ultimately you are the owner, end to end. I think that ownership has to come within from each one of us. Creating relationship with your customers, and then leveraging that network, because I've seen a lot of times the relationship that we build with the customers, they only help us in helping us fixing up appointments with senior bureaucrats or senior IS officers, especially from government perspective. We've seen this a lot happening. So I think that's very, very critical for us. Second, I believe that ability to learn, building your own brand, upskilling yourself. I think that's very critical. Even I would not suggest go for some kind of programs, etc. Even if we pick up any small topic and we go through videos on YouTube, there's immense
Agree.
information available for us to kind of go through it and understand. And I think these are small steps which we can, when we are traveling or we're in transit or we're waiting at a customer location, we should definitely use that time to, enhance knowledge. So I think that's very important for us, because the sales guy has to be a great storyteller, to win the heart of the customer. So I think that's very, very critical for us. And third thing which I believe is, collaboration is really very critical. External, we do a lot of it with our customers and the various stakeholders, but I think internally, is something that we at times we miss it. I think that's where we have to also work a lot and create an overall win-win situation. So
Very true. Very true. Thank you so much. I think I have already some list of 6 skills that you have, mentioned, while you were speaking. But I'm sure there'll be much more that I'll get from Sanjay. So Sanjay, over to you. What are some of those top skills that come to your mind in the whole selling cycle that is important for people to brush up today?
See, the first and the most important skill is understanding the customer requirement in
Very
a
true.
deep manner. In a deep
Very
manner. So, let's take a simple example where a customer is saying, I want, I'd let's say, I would take an example from Prasanta's domain and with her permission. So somebody says, he says, I need data service to be set up in my corporate office, and I want this connect to my sales team. The guy comes up with the thing. Now, send me your quotation and how much speed you will provide and all. And that's one part. But more important than that, if the customer goes into, the salesperson, goes into depth, is that, sir, what do you want to achieve from this? How many people are sitting in the corporate office? How many people are sitting outside the corporate office? Do you want all of them to connect on the same network? What if somebody has a different network? Do you want the interconnectivity? When you start asking these questions, you will come to know what is the real problem the customer wants to solve. And that is that's a skill which a salesperson needs to have today, is don't look at just a quotation to address the customer requirement. You need to find the problem they want to solve, or find the environment they want to create, or create that wow, what they want to do, and customize your product or service to address that need. Once you start doing that, price goes out of picture, because you are now addressing the bigger need. And then it doesn't matter whether you are a number 1 player or number 2 or number 3, number floor. It doesn't matter, because they want a problem to be solved. And if that service or the product what you're providing, that takes care of the problem, and in a manner where you are also understanding the need, that does he want any service after it has been delivered? That's the other part, which is called either after sales service or follow-up and all. Then it completes the picture. So that's one key skill which is required by a person. The other one which is important for any salesperson is, and I would, before interviewing a salesperson or before accepting a salesperson in my team, I look at what is called his attitude. How does he come out in terms of problem? How does he come out in terms of approach? So, let's say somebody is doing a sale target of 10 crores a month, and you say next year onwards, the target is 25 crores, which is 2.5 times more. Now, if somebody reacts, he says, sorry, boss, I cannot take this target. It's not possible. Last year, I grew by only 25%. Versus the other person, he says 25 crores. I'm sure we're bringing new product, new categories. Can I understand what it is? Am I getting a bigger territory? What is it we want to do? I really want to understand how we can do that, because I want to look forward to it. Now, that changes.
Very true. Yeah, very true.
It's your attitude towards a situation presented to you. So that's the second skill, I would say. And the third and the most important skill, of course, there are some 10 more, but the third and most important is how good that B2B person is with respect to networking and leveraging.
Absolutely. Yeah.
See, now let me put it like this. if I want to sell something to Vodafone, right? Now, I got introduced to Prasanta. I realized that she is responsible for B2B from the government side and all. Now, how do I use this moment to connect with her and then partner with her? That's the leveraging opportunity. In case I didn't know, can I have interacted with Dr. Amit? Can I reach out to Dr. Amit, ask him, do you know anybody from Vodafone? Whom you're on one-to-one basis. And then I take the next step is, you said, okay, I know Prasanta, you can reach out to him. I said, no, Amit, I want you to introduce Prasanta to me. Open the door for me. That is the power of leveraging, is that you don't refer the person opens the door for you and then you get it. So those are three important
100%. 100%. 100%. No, thank you so much. So this is really good. And in fact, if I now sum up to both of you, I mean, I don't know if in a normal scenario, whether we even, realize this in a day-to-day basis. What we have talked about is that we need to sharpen the funnel adequacy. We need to understand how to build funnel, as well as, who are the accounts in the funnel, how do we close them? We need to look at the deal velocity, wherein, we need to find out how fast can I close the deal? What's stopping me to take a lot of time? Why is it taking so much of time? Third is the relationship building. So of course, that's one of the skills in its own self. Ownership and accountability is something that both of you said in common, is very important, that I should have an attitude of challenging the status quo and maybe say that, yeah, I'm responsible. I'm going to build this up. Leveraging network. Again, both of you commonly spoke about it. I should be smart enough to unleash the potential of social media and other networking portals that I have. Of course, keep constantly upskilling, which is continuous learning, is something which is required. Again, some of the things which came into from a functional competency is storytelling, communication skills, collaboration, internal as well as external. And of course, discovering the customer, which is more of a domain level expertise. If I am in a B2B and I'm managing certain types of domain or industries of accounts, how much do I know about it? Today, there are so many venues available, from the on the normal media itself. If you just type about a particular industry, it will throw up so much of information to you. How much do I know about the industry of the customer? How much do I know about the challenges of my customer? How do I relate to why he's asking for what he's asking from my product? So those are some things which are very, very important. And I certainly understand that, these are the skills which we also keep getting from most of our clients. And that's where there are multiple learning programs that we bring in. And of course, I would then skip the question next, that what's the importance of a third-party consultant or a training organization in the life of a sales leader like you? Because what I then understand is that it firmly relates to the kind of domain expertise that we bring on ground and the kind of tools, techniques, and different kinds of say measures that we bring on ground that help people to fasten their approach in closing the deals, which are more profitable deals. So I think with that, we will now give you a bit of rest and maybe go back to the audience. I already see a few questions on the Q&A panel. I have 4 questions, rather 3. And most of them I see are from a single gentleman called Mr. Sachin Bhagwat. So Sachin, thanks first of all for giving these questions. So if I was to, put Sachin's 3 questions into one bucket, he's asking 3 things. And of course, both of you can choose to answer, depending upon your inputs on the same. So he's talking about number 1, come what may, price is important. So how as a salesperson should I deal when every deal comes to an end with the customer saying, give me better price? And I also have a rock bottom to touch. So, how can I really work hard or maybe look at things differently to make sure that I don't lose the deals on pricing? Second is what he talks about, how important is brand building. And of course, I know Prasanta even touched about personal brand building to the customer, personal brand building, and then organizational brand building. If I am not representing one of the top 2-3 brands, how do I make sure that, I create that value in the mind of the customer that, yes, I can be your trusted advisor and I am the one who will give you the best output. And then the last part he's saying is the deal velocity itself. Sometimes there are deals in the funnel which are lingering on and on and on. And if it doesn't get closed within 3 to 4 weeks of a standard window, then, what do we do as a salespeople? Should we still keep continuing with or following up with the customer for, let's say, a quarter or maybe 2 quarters, just following up for the same deal, or shall we have a cutoff somewhere and say that as a salesperson, if we have gone beyond this timeline, possibly we are not chasing a realistic deal, and therefore, stop ourselves. So again, I'll sum up for you: pricing, how to handle that; brand image, how to handle that; and turnaround time for closure of the deal, how to handle that, is a summary of all the questions that I have from Sachin here. So over to you. Maybe you can pick up, and then we have one more question after this. But of course, back to you for the answer. Sanjay, Prasanta, anyone can go.
So, Amit, I just like to pick up so I can answer all three, but I'll answer the second one, which is very close to my heart because I can give a real life
Sure.
example there. On the brand thing, that one of the participants has asked that, if I'm third or fourth one, then how do I get business? Because
Yeah.
the brand name of the organization is not there, and I understand there are challenges. So uh, I worked with Airtel for a long time. I started my
Yeah.
career with Airtel, and then I got an opportunity to move to Aircel. And when
Yeah.
Aircel was
Yeah.
launched, that was the time when I joined it. So it was a big risk moving from a branded organization to a non-branded organization.
Agreed.
And coming up with new products. They started with mobility, but they came up with a new wing to sell non-mobility product line, which was a more complex one. But every organization, if it's a last entrant also, they will definitely come up with a unique selling proposition, and I think that is the one we have to pick up and go to the customer, and first go to those customers where you have an excellent relationship already, because if you're able to create funnel there, that will give you some confidence, and then you can go to the newer ones. Definitely go to the ones where you have a relationship already there, and you can talk about your solution, understand customers problems, and try to marry the two, your solution and customer challenge. And I think
Agreed.
that's
Agreed.
that's what will help you to kind of create a reputation for yourself and for your organization. It's not easy, trust me, it's not easy. It takes time, it takes a lot of effort and energy, but it gives results at end of the day. So I think that's a message I would like to give there. So
No, that's a very fair point. I think very, very important point to be noted there. Great, thank you. So you answered for the brand. Sanjay, would you like to take the other two?
So, okay, so let me take the same order. So when he
Sure.
says price is the only there, and Sachin, I would like to tell you, price is not the only thing which a customer decides on. There are 4 or 5 basics. One is price. Then there will be credit, which will come into play. Then there will be delivery location. Then there will be timeline will be another location. Then packaging will come into location. Then the after sales service will come into location. So when you start understanding the customer requirement, which is what I said earlier, you will realize that even though your price may not be the lowest one, but when you start giving him all those 6, 7 parameters, the customer himself says, fine, I would like to go with you. Because there are things which is of no cost to you, but it is of cost to customer. For example, if you're supplying a product in a packaging, now the number one brand will say, I'll give you cheap price, but I can't change my packaging. For you to change the packaging right from your manufacturing and customizing it to the customer may not be a cost to you, but it is a definite advantage for the customer. So that is one way to do it. There are credit, and how do you want to play credit? How do you want to play delivery? You said, I will address all your delivery locations. I will supply to your dealers individually. I will supply to my showrooms where the dealers can pick up. I will have it customized with your dealer name and his address in front of it. That's how you start tackling price.
Agreed.
Because price is, it's just one parameter. The customer always looks at price for one simple reason. That is the easiest thing for him to compare. You need to bring the other parameters so that he does a full-fledged comparison, not just the price. That's how you tackle price. And on the third one, where you said, how long you wait for the deal. So I put it very, very simple, and I'll give you a small example to understand is, it takes, when a chicken is born, A chicken takes 3 weeks for the chicken to form. When a baby is born, human baby, it takes 9 months. When a doctor attends a patient, irrespective of how bad the patient health is, he will keep on attending, looking at solutions as long as the patient is alive. And this is what is for deal. As long as the deal requirement is on the table, which means the customer has the requirement, you need to service it, because only then you will be able to close the deal. You can close deal in 1 week, you can close deal in 3 months, you can close deal in 6 months also. But as long as the deal is on table, which means the customer is willing to spend, you need to work on the deal. There is no timeline to it. The timeline is when the customer drops out, that he says, no, sir, we have dropped the requirement. That's only when you drop out.
Makes sense. Absolutely. Absolutely. So,
I just want to add here just one more point.
Go ahead.
To add to what Sanjay said. I see. At times we've seen that we've lost the orders. We've been following on an order and we finally lost it on price or whatever reasons. But my personal belief is, till the time the order doesn't get executed, please keep in touch with your customer.
Very
I've
right.
seen from personal experience, we've lost many orders, but customers have come back to us, because the XYZ operator could not deliver. So always be in touch with your customer. You never know, he may be looking for an alternate there.
I am completely with you. Definitely. Yeah. So as long as we are talking to the customer, it's the right deal that we are following up. I think it's important to go the length and make sure that till the customer is able to make a right decision, we should be there standing behind him. Okay. So before we move to the next question, and the next question is specifically to you, Sanjay. So Prabhat Surekha asked this question saying, should a strong national brand like Titan smartwatch compete with Boat and Firebolts of the world today? Basically maybe new entrants today. So I just thought I'll put this question to you because it talks about the brand you represent.
So I put it, my simple answer to that question is, whoever is your competition in the market, as long as the customer has a choice, yes, you have to compete with him. Agreed. When you say compete, do you compete on price? Do you compete on delivery? Do you compete on timeline? Do you compete on credit? Do you compete on customization? Those are different parameters. But if the customer has a choice, you have to compete. It's a very simple example. If I put it like this, you look at Apple phone today in India. Just 4 or 5 years back, they were struggling. Today, they are doing. So they brought in models at different pricing. They compete. They realize the customer is a customer who has a choice of an Android cheaper phone with the same features, but they compete. They compete by price. Now they have upped the price. Now people are willing to pay the premium for it because they have built that trust and the brand behind it. Agreed. You can't say, sorry, boss, Boat is cheaper, I cannot compete with it. No. You have to find exactly the customer needs and all, and you have to compete. You can never say, I'm not going to compete. Yeah.
Oh, great. I think this is perfect. And though we are up the hour, I think we'll just take the last question, which is there. This comes from Rupa, and Rupa says that, what are some of those new streams that you recommend us to find out quality leads? And how do we connect with the corporate leaders? I think especially in the manufacturing units is what she is indicating to. But how do we really connect to the corporate leaders is the question. What are the new streams you would recommend?
So social media is the biggest one. And LinkedIn is another one which helps you. And I would see, we have started a concept here in our company, what we call as warm calling. Yeah. So cold calling, if you find a contact, you find his name, address, email ID, and you reach out to him and produce your offering. But that doesn't work nowadays. Warm calling is exactly defining some time back. If you've defined your customer and say, Rupa, let's say TVS Motor is one of your customer, you want to reach out to TVS Motor or Hero MotoCorp or Bajaj Auto or Maruti, you want to reach out to them for manufacturing, or maybe you want to reach out to Hindustan Lever for manufacturing, or maybe you want to reach out to Ashirwad Pipes or Astral Pipes. Now, there is somebody who's taking a decision in Astral Pipes or who's influencing in Astral Pipes who is connected to somebody. Let's say that person name is SK Sharma. Now, he's SK Sharma, but who is SK Sharma directly connected to? And SK Sharma, if it's directly connected to, let's say, Prasanta, how do I see the common connection between me and Prasanta? And that's where LinkedIn helps you. So through that connection, you say, please introduce me to Prasanta, and then Prasanta introduces you to SK Sharma and Astral. So you get the door open for you. It is what I don't know, Rupa, if you go back to your parents, they will tell you many years back how marriages were, arranged. The arranged marriages was, chacha, mami, ka uska rishtedar hai, usko janta hai. That's how you used to do. Today, that thing is done by social media. So whichever company you want to approach, you have to build that structure. Who are they connected to? How you can find a common connection and go and meet them so that your door is open.
Absolutely. Very well said. So thank you very much. I think this was very nicely put, and when the examples are easy to understand as well. Just to summarize, what we have discussed today is, and again, going back to what Sachin, Rupa, and Prabhat were asking, is very simple. And Sanjay, you brought that very beautiful point of a doctor. So I always say that how many times have you chosen a doctor basis the fees that he charges and basis the brand that he carries? Sometimes we deal with a family doctor for generations, because he's been treating my forefathers and my father and my parents and me as well from the childhood. I have the trust and the value in that individual. Maybe he's not sitting with a very glorious brand or a top hospital. Maybe he's not charging a very minuscule amount, and therefore I'm going to him. But that value or that trust that we as a family have built on that particular doctor, literally makes us take the decision again and again. And therefore, it's important in today's scenario that we stick to the value, we stick to the brand, and we have that kind of a relationship with the customer, and maybe find out who the customer is. As you said, where does he go? What does he do? I even remember one time when me and Prasanta, we worked together in the erstwhile Vodafone, where all the account managers, learned golf playing. And we learned golf over weekends, and we used to go for playing golf then over the weekends with most of the CEOs and the MDs of various organizations who were golfers. And we found, where are our customers? Our customers are golfers. They go to the golf course. Let's go there. And that's where we built a lot of connect. We played with them. They became friends. And of course, that's where the business conversation started happening on the breakfast meetings and other meetings. And that's where we started generating a lot of business. So sky is the limit. All you need to do is, first of all, upskill yourself, find out what are the new things which are there. Those, because once you know the customer, will be important. How do you pitch your product? What is the value proposition? How do you negotiate? How do you handle objections? How do you do closing with the customer? How are you matching the requirement? How do you understand people in the buying center? How do you really map individual needs of each and every person who's there in the buying decision making for you? All of this becomes very, very important. And of course, after that, have that positive attitude of challenging the status quo and say that I can do better tomorrow. And I think that's what will make the best of the potential to come out of any sales professional in today's world. So with that, I would like to thank once again to both of you, Sanjay and Prasanta. It's been a real honor to host both of you. And of course, it was a very difficult topic, I must tell you, though we never sounded like that, but it's quite complex. And the way you have made it look easy with the kind of examples that you have taken, I'm sure the audience benefited a lot out of it. And we would surely always remember your contribution for this. So thank you very, very much. And we'll stay in touch with you. And if there are any further queries, we'll again connect back with you. So thank you very much for the audience as well.
Amit. Thank you, Sanjay.
Thank you, Amit. Thank you. Thank you.
And once again, thanks to all the audience who's been there with us for the long time. And of course, I'm sure you got the right benefits out of this. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.